Hi, so we're reviewing different surfaces today. I've put some skies on 3 pieces of paper. One is a sandpaper that you would get from any DIY store, the finest you could get, not wet and dry, but the finest you can get. The other is Ingress in the middle, and the final one is pastel matte. So what I want to do is I've done some skies, I'm going to do some fields and some grass at the bottom, so you can see how the pastels work with that paper. Okay, right, so what I would normally do is put the darks of the darks in and so on, but I'm just going to do some plain English fields. I'm going to start with a distant blue, which I will use for distant hills. Right, okay, that's going on fairly smoothly. You can see that's really quite easy to put on. I'm not pressing on very much. Okay, blend that in with my finger just to knock it back into the teeth of the sandpaper. All right, let's do the same on the Ingress paper, see what we get there then. So, just gonna go across. Now you'll see you get a broken line. Basically, it's picking up the texture of the paper. So, you need to go over the colour, put quite a bit of colour down. And if I use my finger, yep, I can knock it into the pastel, into the Ingress paper, and it does actually get rid of all those little white dots, which is the surface of the paper being broken by the texture of it. Okay, so you know, it's not so smooth along the top. Because I've had to use my finger, it's not smooth. However, what I could do is use a blending tool. Okay, so that way I can get right to the edge. I'm going to need some more pastel for this because I've already smudged or blended that in. So I'm just going to put another line of this pastel, and then I can move that to make that edge smooth. You might not want that edge smooth, but if you did, this was how you do it. So you put some more pastel on there and use that blending tool so you're a little bit more precise, but you've definitely got to move this pastel in to the surface of the paper, otherwise you end up with this broken line at the bottom, which in some cases is good. It's nice because you've got a broken, it could be used really nicely for water. But let's move on now to the pastel matte. So these are distant hills, remember. Try filling up that paper. Right, so easy to go on. I'm hardly pressing on. Okay. Right. Knock that back into the teeth of the paper. Use a blending tool if you want, or I've just been able to use my finger there. So the hills in the distance, fine on all 3. If you know how to use the pastel on the paper, is fine. This one just needs a little bit more pastel, and it needs a more defined implement to use to get a fine line on that edge, otherwise it goes all blurred and you smudge it and everything. Okay, so they're distant hills. Right, let's put some green fields in there. Now I don't want to go too dark, and I'm not going to go into the, we're just doing a review on paper, so let me just put in, I'm not going to use that one, I'm going to use a mid. So it's a mid green, there's not a problem with that, but we'll just put in some grassland we're using the sandpaper at the moment. Just going to come down there a little bit, just as I would in a picture. Now I'm going to do it on the ingress, so I'm doing middle ground, right? Again, look, it's picking up. It's picking up the roughness of the paper. Okay, it's there, but what you need to do is knock it into that paper or get rid of those. You've got to get rid of the spaces that the paper leaves because it's rough. All right, so as long as we do that, that is not a bad surface to work on. Okay, pastel mat, the same. Just put the middle distance in really quickly. Okay, I'll just knock it back into the teeth. Really easy to use. And that's gone in really well. So that was obviously it shows you how quick it is to do each one of those. All right. Now we'll pick up some more different colours. Obviously grass is not all one colour. And in the far distance I'm going to pick up some. This is, now we're starting to layer on top again. So we'll test how that works. That's gone on really well. It's just a field in the distance and I just want to make it move. It goes on single on the paper raw, and then it's actually layered on top of that green that I've just put in, and it's moving really nicely. Yeah, pleased with that. Okay, so we've got some distant field there. Now let's do that same process on the ingress paper. Again, look, it's picking up the paper and the way that it's made, so you've got rough surface. Okay, to get rid of that though, you know what to do now. Blend it into the paper and the pastel underneath. You may need more pastel because it's not getting rid of the paper underneath. Fine, you may lose it a little bit more. So again, I would say this uses a lot more pastel. Okay, the colours aren't quite as bright, but you will build those up by going over and over and over. So it's a longer process, but achievable. Right, pastel mat. Let's do that field in the background. Easy to go on. Smooth. We'll see how it works when I start blending. Yeah, similar to the sandpaper, but less work. Okay. Right, now let's do, we'll pick up on a little bit of a beach or a, where's that one? A little bit of a beach on the right hand side, and all I'm going to do for that is so this is sort of an underpainting straight onto sandpaper, and we'll do a little bit of layering on top of that. So again, moving it really easy. It's not a hard process, that. Same process on the pastel mat. Sorry, on the ingress. Me concentrating what I'm doing. Right, okay. So it's still picking up the roughness of that paper. So it's the same story, as in I'm going to have to put a lot more pastel on there to get that to sit flatly without having any white bits coming through, and the colour's gone a little bit flat. Right, okay, so always have to blend that, always. And I'm just going to go into the pastel mat of that colour. Went on really smoothly, and then blending it really well, really easily. Yep, right, okay, so let's do some foreground grasses, and for that I'm just going to do some, well, I want some dark on there first, so let's do some, as we do it, I'm going to put some earthy colours down to go underneath the grass. This is what it's growing in. Same on the Ingress paper. You get the paper coming through, the bobbly paper coming through is not very deep, so again I'm going to have to knock that and move it around that paper to fill in all them holes. Not an issue, but then you're going to have to use a lot more pastel to get it dark enough. But doable, it's just going to take you longer. Okay, so there is the dirt that sits underneath. I'll do this on the pastel mat. Try not to hide my hands. All I'm doing is just putting the dirt down underneath the grass. Okay, and this gives you an idea of, because every obviously element in a picture, I'm trying to cover as much as I can for a landscape, so, and it depends what's in that landscape, but this is a good indicator of layering, underpainting, blending, and we're going to do some detail work in a minute. Right, what I haven't done is blended in the sandpaper. Works really well. It's rough to feel, but it's not uncomfortable. It does move really well. Look, I can get it really into the teeth of the paper. Yep, liking that. Right, now then we'll go into some darks for that. For the dark part of the grasses. Remember, it's in the foreground, so we're going to be doing some slightly detailed grasses. However, they're not soldiers, so they don't stand up. This is what I tell all my students. So it's just a random, the way that grass would do it. Now that's gone on really easy for that technique. It's the edge rather than the side of the pastel. Let's do the Ingress. Yep, it's going in. We've got that problem. Well, the problem, is it a problem? It's not so easy to go on. It's not a problem. You've just got to remember to blend it in when you've done it. Now, obviously with grasses, I don't really want it blending in because I'm after the grass shapes. And we'll see how that works and if I can put it right. And then I will obviously pass that information on to you. Right, we'll do the pastel mat. Again, goes on really easy. That's the shadows within the grass. I'm just putting in. Okay. So there are the shadows. There'll be a lot more shadows at the bottom, like you have with trees. So let's just make sure that that's there. Now with this, let's have a look. I'm going to have to put a lot more pastel on there. I'm going to have to press on to get those grasses to come up. Press on towards the bottom. It's layering okay, working well with the underneath colours, but but I really have to press on with a sharp part of the end of the pastel to get the grasses to go up. Right, so we've done all that. Just want to make this dark at the bottom here. Yeah, happy with the sandpaper. The sandpaper's fine. It's nice and quick. It goes on really, really well. And it's not hard work. So we've managed to get the darks. We've managed to get the earth colours underneath. Makes it a little bit more interesting. Right, okay, so let's work now on some grasses at the front, see how they react. Okay, so yeah, easy to go on, easy, not a problem. Hardly touching the paper, just doing different shapes, or different directions, should I say. This is grass we're talking about. There'll be another 3 or 4 colours go on top of here just to make it look more like grass. Right, we'll try the same with the Ingress paper. A bit more difficult to see. Again, I'm having to press on. That's the theme there. We've got 1, 2, this is the 3rd layer, and I want a definite shape. It's not about blending anymore with this. This is about shapes of grasses. And whereas it can be done, I'm really having to press on and get that pastel so it goes into the roughness of the paper, and I don't get a hit and miss line, which is not what I want at this stage. I'm also finding that halfway up, look, the paper is showing through, so I've got to work again. I've got to work a little bit harder to get rid of that. Okay, not bad, not bad. Right, the pastel mat then, again, easy to go on, not hard work at all. I'm hardly touching the paper. All that, it's going on really well. Right. Okay, so let's just do some a little bit more shadow, more at the bottom. Shadow usually happens at the bottom of grasses. Not that we're interested in that now, but it's hard to go out of teaching mode. Okay. We've got some depth in there. So again, I'm having to press on to get that darkness into there. Yeah, that goes on smoothly. Easy to apply. Layering really, really well. Notice there's no blending on this bit. This is grasses, so I'm not blending. Okie dokie. Right, so let's just recap then how that worked. I would say the sandpaper, excellent. I don't have a problem with the sandpaper. It went on really well, it layered well, it's blended well, and I've been able to get a nice smooth line for those distant hills. Okay, Ingress paper, I would say harder work, achievable, but there's a lot of blending gone off there. If you can see, a lot of blending to get rid of the texture of the paper. I have managed it, but I've really had to press on, and I've had to put a lot more pastel on than I would have normally done. For the detail and the fineness of that line at the top, I've had to use a blending tool. Okay, I couldn't get, because obviously my finger's bigger, I couldn't get that nice fine, the fine line at the top. I had to use a blending tool. Sky, again, it's exactly the same, as in you've got to work really hard. The pastel mat, it was easy to go on, nice and smooth, a nice surface to work on. So I hope that's been of some help, especially with the Ingress paper, because it's readily available. But the most surprising one for me, or for anybody, is the sandpaper. I have used it before many years ago, but I'm just surprised how easy it is with the pastel mat. I will put them almost equally, and that is because of the teeth. See, there's no teeth in Ingra's paper. However, it's got that rough surface, but you do have to work harder at it. I hope that's been helpful. Thank you. Bye.